For more on all the legal implications and where the case could go in the future, Danya is here. She is a former New York Deputy Attorney General and Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. All right, let's start with one of the big things that's missing in the indictment, or the statement of facts, which I think was about 13 pages. We don't know what is the big overarching crime that makes these 34 counts of falsifying business records a felony, because normally they're misdemeanors. Does the prosecution have to eventually tell everyone, because there has to be a defense mounted, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was a little surprised that the underlying or the predicate offenses were not spelled out so clearly in the indictment or the statement of facts. Certainly there are allusions to it, and certainly DA Bragg made allusions to state campaign finance violations, federal violations of campaign finance law, as well as tax fraud. But typically that would be in the heart of the indictment itself, part of the charges, exactly for the reason you said, so that the defendant knows what he needs to answer. So what will happen is, no doubt, his defense team, and he has an excellent team, will ask for a bill of particulars. They will make a motion, and they will say, you need to tell us exactly which crimes you're accusing this defendant of as being the predicate offense. And there will be motion practice on this, and I would be shocked if the judge does not require the prosecutors to actually spell out in chapter and verse which crimes are the predicates here.
You talked about the fact that some of this leads to tax fraud. You talked also about being surprised and what the judge has also, what you expect him to say, right, going forward. One of the things he has already said is he has warned both counsels and both groups, the prosecution and the defense, to refrain from the vitriol that has already been spewed by Donald Trump himself on social media. But it didn't appear that the defendant, in this case, Donald Trump, listened, because last night there was a plethora of vitriol and going after everyone and everything. What might the judge do because of that?
I'm not sure if the comments last night will rise to the level where the judge actually imposes a gag order. If, the worst case scenario, and one that we all dread, but if there's any violence, then I think that's probably an instance where the judge would feel beholden to impose some limitations on speech. And it's true, as you point out, it's unusual, but in both sides, here we have some of the witnesses who've been very vocal, and that is not something that the prosecution here, I'm sure, is overly excited about. And on the defense side, of course, and I know these lawyers very well, they're excellent. They are no doubt giving instruction to their client to keep quiet and reminding him that everything he says can be used against him. The former president is one person who the Miranda warnings or warning of counsel usually go unheeded. So he will do that unless and until the judge tells him he can't and holds him in contempt if he continues to.
We've heard this judge is compassionate, but also very tough and wants control of his courtroom, and is very clear about that. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your legal analysis. Over to you, John.